Welcome to Prime Life. We call it Retirement 2.0. Leave each episode with tips and new ideas to help you navigate retirement in our new age. It's your time. Make it count.
This podcast is for educational purposes only. It is not intended as medical, investment, or financial advice. We do not sponsor or endorse any of the individuals, companies, products, or services featured on this podcast. Any statements or opinions expressed are of the individual who makes them. We hope you enjoy the episode.
Hello and welcome. We are live at the show floor at Medicarians here in Las Vegas. Mary, we're on day 2, and I don't know about you, but it's been wonderful to have the conversations and making the connections, not only on the stage, but also across the show floor.
I would totally agree. And as a matter of fact, being that it's day 2, I was expecting it to be a little more sparse and maybe the energy a slight bit lower, but it really is not.
No, the energy across the floor is wonderful. I'm sure you can hear it in the background in a positive way. There's a lot of individuals gathered here, meeting one another, understanding what business is out there. We've gotten some really wonderful connections across agent base throughout the entire country. I don't know about you, Mary, but you can definitely tell that the energy is up, the head count is up, and people are really invested in Medicarians.
They are. And what I continue to hear from each individual is a few things. One, they've been able to meet amazingly kind, gracious, interesting people, like-minded, who are willing to either help them with knowledge, information, and if they don't have it, refer them very quickly outward. And I think that has been really amazing. So again, it's that human connectedness that we all know that we need and we want. And it doesn't get better than that, really. It just does not. And so I'm very excited that that's been the experience. And also, of course, the great panels. And I know, Laura, maybe you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were working with Jay and Sonia and the team at Medicarians again for our second year on bringing some really wonderful content to the stage. So on Monday, what is traditionally referred to as Agent Day or opening day of the show, we hosted what we call the Life and Annuities Forum. So it was the first time that we had crossover conversation regarding the Medicare supplement business, annuities, questions for first time or people who are considering selling. How do I cross-sell? How do I open up this gold mine of my book of business? And how do I activate those relationships that I already have in a meaningful way? So there were several panels, several people from across, I'll say industry, across vertical, really discussing and getting to the nitty gritty about different conversations, different viewpoints. NASA had great representation on the stage. With myself, I had the honor of opening up and kicking off the show and moderating a panel discussion. Kathy Fan from the NASA team was on a panel, as well as Mark Fitzgerald. So it was great for us to get up on stage to share NASA's thought leadership, our viewpoints, our experience, and really wonderful to put ourselves around very intelligent people doing great work within this industry. So again, kudos to the Medicarians team for bringing us all here today. And Mary, I don't know about you, but they had said that I think last count was well over 4,400 people.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing I want to add, as you were talking about the forum, which I thought was really cool, I wasn't on stage, but I had many individuals come up to me and say, oh, I saw some NASA people. They were on stage. They were really interesting. And I also saw quite a few people come up to you and Mark and Kathy, and they wanted to have further conversations with you. And not for nothing, but that's a good brand lift.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that speaks to the character here at this event is the openness and willingness of that connectivity that you mentioned, of that trust building, of the relationships. And it's a really good segue into saying, if someone's interested in learning more, they can ask anyone here. Or if someone wants to know what is an annuity, there are plenty of people to ask. And for us to have that spot at the table to have those discussions in meaningful ways is another reason why we just keep coming back here.
Yeah. And I'm going to add one more point, which is we've had several people come through and say, oh, we already work with you. So good to see you. And we've had individuals say, we've seen your name pop up. And now I get to put a name to a face to a name. And now I get to know you and I feel more comfortable getting to know NASA. And that's been really gratifying.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it goes to the great work that you do and working with agents directly and working with individuals and really just strengthening the relationship. So with that, I think it's going to be, not even I know we are going to have a wonderful episode. You've been having very meaningful conversations, well over 12, 15 at this point. We cannot wait for you all to listen in and to learn about these individuals, hear about the work that they're doing, and hear about their stories.
I'm here at Medicarians 2025, and the energy is just amazing. I cannot believe it. I am so excited. And I'm here with an amazing guest. Her name is Yvette Garza. Yvette, tell us a little bit about yourself, your company, and what brings you to Medicarians 2025 this year.
Hi, thank you. I'm excited to be here. There's a lot of energy in the room, like you said. My name is Yvette Garza, and I have been an agent for going on 11 years now. And this year, this is my third year at Medicarians. This year, I did bring quite a bit of my team with me. I'm excited for them to learn as well. I feel like as an agent or a leader, you should be bringing your agents out to events like this to give them more motivation, understanding, learning. I know that I have 2 brand new agents that are super excited now about doing annuities and life, and expanding is the best thing that, growth is the best expansion you can have. So
I would love for you to talk a little bit about that growth expansion that we talked about before we started recording this podcast, because it's a great story.
Yeah, so I have been an agent, like I said, for about 10 years. And about maybe 3.5 years ago, I decided that I was going to go ahead and, build my team and get an office and get going. And so that's what I did. And now we've outgrown that office, and we're moving into a much bigger office with a huge event center where we'll be able to do trainings and events and teaching, because there's so many people out there that have no idea what to do with their money when they retire. A lot of clients come in and they're like, well, I'm just going to leave that 401k there. And I'm like, you might want to look around. So I'm really, really excited. And I'm, excited to start working with, growing my business more and teaching my agents more with NASA. That'll be fun. So we're pretty excited. We can't wait to move into that new place and start rocking and rolling.
That's amazing. That's awesome. This is day 1 at Medicarians 2025, and it has been so exhilarating, so exciting, and just really pretty much an inspiration. Today, I'm really fortunate to be joined by Joy Johnson. Joy, tell us a little bit about yourself, your company.
I work for American Senior Benefits, and I've been there 6 years. We have a region in Indiana that is Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, Michigan.
So I think I know a little story about you that you shared before we started the recording. And I'd love for you to share that with our listeners. As an agent, right? Agents sell lots of products. Some they start selling one thing and they maybe transition. Can you talk a little bit about your journey of what you've been selling, what you sold, and how you made that transition so others that may think about it won't be so frightened?
So I started out just doing Medicare products, and I had a manager that was very supportive on helping me do the annuity and financial part of with my clients. And he encouraged me to do my own because I have really good relationships with most of my clients already. And so I just recently started doing that, and it has not been scary at all. Because there's a lot of support, especially from your company as well as from our own companies. So,
what kind of advice or insights would you share with other agents in terms of that fear factor that you've overcome? And we all know in life that nothing worth doing is easy. Right. But can you share a little bit about that? Because I think it'd be great advice to hear from someone like yourself.
I was very scared because I thought, oh my goodness, what if I do something wrong and someone loses everything they've worked for their whole life? And then I just realized that it is such a safety net for them that it's just the right thing to do for my clients and moving forward.
We're ready, ready, ready.
Perfect.
This is great. Medicarians 2025, first day. It's just been fabulous. And one of the reasons is because we've had fabulous individuals to talk to. We have Manuel Alvarez. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your company, and why you're here at Medicarians 2025.
Very nice to meet you. As you said, I'm Manuel Alvarez. I'm the business director of IMED. Our company does vision care benefits. We own over 40% of the Medicare market, where we partner with different health plans across the country, and we sell vision products through our network of optometrists and retail brands and independent providers.
So I've definitely heard of your company, not going to lie there, but I notice you have something very, very interesting and very much like, I feel like futuristic. Can you talk a little bit about that, even though our listeners can't see what you're talking about? I think they'll get a good sense.
Yeah, so actually, now that you say that, we were just named position number 8 out of the Fortune innovation companies, changing kind of the world in the innovation space for vision. And one of our latest products is it's a product called Ray-Ban Meta, where we partner with Facebook Meta. It's a very interesting technology around smart glasses. They're very, very futuristic, as you said. So it's a smart glass that has a camera embedded, and audio as well, and you can connect it straight to your social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and so forth. And it also has the audio is embedded, and it has AI, so you can talk to Meta and ask Meta different questions. It has image recognition as well. So there's a lot of great use cases out of that, where you can use it also, for the Medicare space specifically. Like, for example, for visually impaired people, now they can ask like, hey, what's this, right?
Love
It's
that.
a tomato can or that kind of stuff.
That's amazing. How do you see this product transforming the future?
Yeah, so I see it's gonna so similar to a smartphone. I think right now smart glasses are gonna be kind of part of your everyday living, and even our CEO says that in the next few years, people may end up using more smart glasses than smartphones, which is an ambitious goal, but I think it has a lot of great potential. And we're seeing every day more and more like great use cases, like where the glasses can, for example, translate different languages real time. You can ask for information around what you're seeing, where you're going. The other day there was this lady telling me that she was looking at an airplane, and she's like, "What, Meta, what's that?" And it was like, "Here, this is a Delta flight going from Orlando to Chicago," and even with the number of the flight and everything, so it's pretty impressive.
That's crazy. I love that. And I could see people, like, when they're traveling, really find that,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
especially if you don't know the language, even if you start learning it and you're traveling and you want to be confident, and I think that's very fascinating. I'm very excited for you and your company to see how that's going to take shape. And I think, as you said earlier, it's like, it's maybe an audacious goal that smart glasses will take over smartphones, but
Yes.
I can see that happening. Absolutely. So as we kind of close our conversation up a little bit, Manuel, what have you found to be curious, interesting, surprising at Medicarians 2025?
Yeah, I mean, I think the conference in general has been great. I think one of the things that I find really positive about conference is how optimistic people are feeling about what's coming this year. So hopefully, that's the case. And obviously we all know that last year wasn't as great as we all wanted, right? And there was a lot of headwinds and so forth. But I think this year people are way more optimistic about what's coming.
And it keeps growing and growing. And, how great is that? So I'm here with Jamie, and she's going to talk a little bit about who she is, her company, and how they help people.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. I agree with you. This is an amazing crowd. This is probably one of the best events that we've been to, and we go to quite a few. So I'm really excited to be here. So I'm a nurse, and I've been a nurse for over 30 years. And what my company is a population health company. We contract with Medicare, Medicaid, ACA Marketplace. And really the best way to describe it is we're a value add. So we become a part of the benefits. We take on the delegation of case management. We send nurses into the homes. We send nurse practitioners into the homes. And the thesis that really runs our company is that if we improve the quality of life, healthcare costs will go down. So the main thing we focus on is tied to our app, Maslow. Maslow asks 10 questions. Do you have enough money for food? Can you pay your utilities? And once we identify those social risks, we resolve those. And it can be that it's just a lack of understanding about the plan's transportation services, or the plan offers food that they didn't know that they could have. We just recently had a member who was getting ready to be evicted. He hadn't paid his utilities, but because of his debit card through the plan, he was able to close all of those social risks and stay in his home. So we work with the plan's resources. If those aren't available or they don't fit, like one time we had to have a bobcat removed out of a patient's home. They were living in rural Arizona in a trailer. The floors had rotted, and the bobcat had crawled up and was living in their living room. So when the social worker went in, she was like, "Why are we just in the kitchen?" And she said, "Well, there's a bobcat in my living room." Social worker opened the door. Yeah, total bobcat sleeping there.
Oh, my goodness.
And so we obviously had to use community resources to get the bobcat out. So our focus, as I said, is improving quality of life. What we know and what our data shows is that once we solve that social risk,
Right.
be it food insecurity, housing insecurity, after that, their healthcare costs will go down 30%. And that's really because if you don't have enough money for food,
Right.
or you can't afford your utilities, do you care what your blood pressure is?
Right.
Do you care, whether you're taking your medicines? Because the big piece is that most importantly, and that's why it's based on Maslow, is Maslow's hierarchy, which says I have to have security, I have to feel safe before I start focusing on my sense of well-being. So that's pretty much in a nutshell who we are and what we do.
And I love hearing that. And it's really about caring for individuals and meeting people where they are.
Yeah. Yes.
So last question, what have you found to be surprising or interesting at Medicarians 2025?
I think that there are many things that I've really been excited about. I went to the sessions yesterday and was very interested in how they were talking about the changes from a legislative standpoint and the impact, and that there's such a close eye on that. That was very interesting because obviously that impacts all of us in healthcare. And also, I think the most amazing thing is I've been at the booth all day, except for that little bit of time where I was on a panel earlier, and the people are just so asking all kinds of questions. Well, I know this person, I can connect you with this plan, and it's just a great community of people. It's been really an amazing experience.
I think you described it very well. I think it's about community and people being generous and gracious in their knowledge and also in their connections. And in life, we know that all of what we do is about human connections and human connectedness. So I thank you for your time today. It was great chatting with you, Jamie.
Yes, thank you. I've enjoyed it.
This day's flying by. Medicarians' first day, 2025. And the energy has been amazing. I just look around the room and I see all the different conversations that people are having and the smiles on their faces, and I'm hearing laughter. And I'm here with an interesting guest, David Schaffner. David, tell us a little bit about yourself, your company, and why you're here at Medicarians 2025.
Sure, great. Well, having a great time here at Medicarians 2025. And I'm David Schaffner. I'm a National Sales Director at Impulse. And we are here enjoying the company. We are the Health Experience and Insights platform. So we really handle the complete journey for a member, from all the way from shopping and enrollment, all the way through navigating their health plan, understanding their care, their costs of care, as well as collaborating with providers, all the different constituents that come into that. And then to tie it all together, doing the retention plans as well. So we're here to meet with all the wonderful brokers, and also some of our carrier clients are here as well.
So tell us a little bit more about what your company does and how, you did explain, but let's dig a little bit deeper there.
Right. So as I said, we're kind of, the full boat for a member experience, from even before they're a member, when they're a consumer. We are an EDE enrollment platform. So we'll set up those platforms, primarily for our carrier clients, to help them go through and enroll. Also, we have that same experience for brokers, guided decision support, and all those great tools for the brokers. So we'll help the members to enroll. And then we have all the member management capabilities as well there. So really about, allowing those carriers or the brokers to really build strong relationships, to really personalize their outreach and the experiences that those members have. So after they are a member, then we bring them into our platform, where we have really strong predictive analytics to do things like personalizing that experience for that member. So that could be to improve health outcomes. It could also just be to support, again, developing that really strong relationship, so that member understands that that broker or that carrier really knows that member, what's relevant to them, delivering very personalized information to support that journey into care. We also offer cost transparency tools so they can understand that cost of care as well, depending on the line of business that they have. We also have a very strong relationship with providers. Our provider portal security model is really second to none. So we bring all those people together as well, and integrating with EHRs, all the claims adjudication systems, to really make a nice streamlined hub for everybody involved in that care. And again, trying to use predictive analytics to really target that member, but then really any information that we're getting, from that member and their interactions with us or interactions with the provider or any other sort of data, we can use that to really deliver really engaging experiences for them. And it's very omni-channel. So we have, the ability to, for texting, SMS, MMS, one-to-one, one-to-many, customized texting campaigns and activator programs, as we call them, as well as very robust and dynamic portals, again, for the member, but also, I should say, for this audience, for the brokers as well. We calculate commissions. We handle all the premium billing as well. So really, it's a full health experience and insights platform, HXI as we're calling it now. And that's really our differentiator in the market. Is it's more than just enrollment. It's more than just a broker portal. It really is the one and only way to really deliver that complete care journey for that member. And we're just seeing great results with it in terms of satisfaction of the members with their carriers, with their brokers, but also great outcomes, improving everything from closing gaps in care, medication adherence.
Ethan Oles. Ethan, tell us a little bit about yourself, your business, and what you're doing here at Medicarians 2025.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all for having me. My name is Ethan Oles. I'm the recruiting director for the Brokerage Inc. We are a national marketing organization, an FMO, an independent agency, one of the few still family-owned and independent agencies out there. We've been in business. We'll be celebrating 50 years next year. We offer all lines, health and life, life, health, ancillary. We have annuity products. And help independent agents nationwide to build their business, whether you're a single independent agent or you have a large agency. We operate in all 50 states and hope to talk to a lot of agents out here.
Well, that's super exciting. And by the way, congratulations, because that's pretty landmark 50 years.
Thank you.
Talk with us a little bit about, without divulging too much, what's your secret sauce?
It all started with our owners, Ross and Cheryl Hopkin. They had a vision back in the 70s to build out an agency. And from there, we have just scaled. I've been with the company for 8 years now. We continue to scale our business. And again, one thing that's very important in my years that I've been there is the family side of the business. We have almost doubled in employment since I started in 2017. And we try really hard to keep that family feel, and hopefully that trickles down into our agents and agency partners that we work with.
I bet it does. I mean, in life, it's always about relationships, the connections. You have to know someone, like them, and trust them. And it sounds like you're hitting it out of the park. I'd love to hear from you a little bit about what you've experienced here at Medicarians 2025. What have you found interesting, or what have you learned, or what's been curious?
Yeah.
Or is there anything that surprised you?
Yeah, no. This is my third time at Medicarians. Every year it continues to grow. I think why TBI is here is certainly, hey, we're trying to recruit agents. We're trying to continue to grow our brand. But you're around like-minded individuals. It's an incredible networking opportunity, and just learn from so many different organizations and technology companies. We live in a world where technology is king. And, every year it's amazing just to see what is new out there, how agencies and agents are utilizing the tools. And again, for us, it's really about, our partners and hopefully some future agents that we'll recruit as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it's really great to be here. I don't even know what time it is. The time has just transcended me. Medicarians 2025, lots of great individuals, lots of exciting companies. And that brings me to a point where I have Sandra Rosales. She's going to talk a little bit about what she does, what her company does, because I think everyone's going to find that very interesting. Without further ado.
Thank you, Mary. I really appreciate you inviting me here today. As Mary mentioned, my name is Sandra Rosales. I work for Dial 800. I'm the business development manager and also senior account manager for the company. I've been with them for 9 years. So longest I've ever.
Congratulations.
Yeah, feels like a long time, but time moves so fast. But I'm happy to be here. This is our second year at Medicarians. Last year, I had a great opportunity to learn a lot more so about the Medicare Advantage space. This year, it's about connecting with more brokers, agents, carriers, and other service providers that may benefit from our solution. With Dial 800, we've been around for a little over 35 years.
Wow.
Yeah. We have a special niche in the market more for direct to consumer, but basically working with any vertical, and have found over the last couple of years that in the healthcare space, one-to-one communication is still very, very important and the bread of any opportunity out there. That's where we can come in to help with that. Whether it's a small company to an enterprise company, at the end of the day, it's finding ways to connect and what's working for you. So as a whole, we have a vast inventory of toll-free numbers. Somebody could use it for, let's say they're looking for a strong branded number to put across all of their media channels, their website, their direct mail piece. Or if in fact they want to be able to pump those marketing dollars a bit into their digital spend or either print mail, etc. And they want to be able to say, hey, what is that advertising doing for me? Where am I converting more? What is my ROI? That's where our platform can come in. So we track those inbound calls and deliver those calls on a secure network. We've got switches across the US. So we're reliable. We're a network aggregator. So regardless of the carrier, we go across the most reliable source. And then we can provide really custom reporting for our clients. On the account management side, not only am I supporting the acquisition of the client, but I will help tailor a solution for that individual client. So if an agency has 10 agents and each one of their agents need to be able to get calls, maybe they're located in different locations, maybe their hours vary. We customize that inbound call based on those individual agent needs. So, and then to a large company who maybe has let's say they're doing TV ads and they need strong, memorable phone numbers. We have a large database of those memorable phone numbers. We have proven time and time again that those memorable phone numbers create a lift in response, which ultimately creates a lift in conversion. So they need those strong numbers. Then we report on them and they know where their media dollars are being spent. So we can help small or big.
I love that. How has technology impacted a business like yours? Because there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, I can imagine. And I know we don't have to talk too many technicalities here, but can you give us a sense of that? Because that's intriguing to me.
Yeah. AI is the biggest buzzword, right? You hear it,
It is.
everywhere.
Yes, you do.
We don't have AI bots. We still believe in that personal touch. But we do have our AI technologies that sit on top of the call that will transcribe the call, that will summarize the call, and give those key points of the call back to that agency owner or back to that marketer that's looking to see how that call went. So we do have some AI tools, and we're continuing to grow those AI tools because we do know the importance of that. And I see it expanding. I definitely do.
I totally agree with you. And at the very least, AI saves us time, because even with a great memory and you're taking notes, for example, like on a call, like maybe you missed something because you're so intently listening. And so it sounds like you're saving your clients time, and time is money, as we all know.
That it is. Or maybe you have some new reps and they're answering the phone and you want a training opportunity here. Yeah. Or, you've got to make sure you've got a report. We also have sentiment scoring. You can flag those calls that were excellent and you can showcase those calls. Or maybe ones that need a little help. They weren't so good. Maybe they didn't hit some certain compliance related items on the call, and they need to make sure that those agents are trained appropriately to handle that call accordingly. So it all comes down to, like you said, time is money. So it's saving time and it's making things a bit more efficient.
I would like for you to very briefly talk about the sentiments
Sure.
piece, because I do find that fascinating.
Yeah. I believe there's 4 different sentiments. You've got a smiley face. This was an excellent call, down to one that might be not so excellent, a sad call. They're broken up into buckets of ratings. I believe it's like 1 through 30, 31 through 60, and so on. So the sentiment can be based on tonality. So tonality makes a difference. Certain words that are being stated. And again, back to it being AI, I don't know exactly how it works in and out.
Yes.
It is a learning module.
Of course.
So more feedback, the better. The more calls that come through, the more it tunes in. It really gives that defined sentiment. Was that a good call? Was that not such a good call? And can be used as a training tool.
I love that. But
Yeah.
I love the word that you use, tone, because that means a lot. And also certain words we use. I know all of us each day we use certain words. We have a certain vernacular. And I've learned over time that there's certain words that maybe are not as helpful or don't get such a great response from an individual. And I think all of us ultimately are just trying to help people.
At the end of the day, that's it.
We're just trying to, make
That's
people
it.
better, companies better, and all of that.
Yeah.
So, Sandra, as we kind of close our conversation, what have you found most intriguing or interesting or curious at Medicarians 2025?
So back to what you just said, you took it from me, is helping people. It's not rocket science here, right? But if I can help a business to make things run better for them, maybe save them some money, maybe the platform they're using is a little expensive and we found a solution that works for them and gives them everything that they need.
I'm here with Stacy Dixon, Medicarians 2025. It's been outstanding. And one of the reasons is because of all the wonderful people that we're meeting and chatting with, especially those individuals who happen to be women. Women supporting other women. Can't get enough of that. Stacy, let's talk a little bit about what you do. And I heard a lot of inspirational messaging coming from you, and it was very much impromptu, and you didn't know that we were focusing on you, and you were just, I loved it. Can you talk a little bit about that and what you do? And
Sure. Well, as a health and wealth broker with American Senior Benefits, it's my goal to help people be the asset protectors for their communities. Because the more that we can do to help them, our communities are better off. And the more that we can uplift each other, men, women, anybody, it's going to be able to be a ripple effect. Everyone's going to be positively impacted, and it's going to really make a big difference, not only in what they are doing for others, but what they're able to do for their families. So if you use something from Nassau, for example, if you have the product, the income today, you know you need something sooner, or you can use it as an income tomorrow. I love the flexibility, and it was actually one of my first products for an income annuity for a client. And they have come back to me and said that was the best decision they ever made. So being able to have products and companies like Nassau is amazing, because what they do is they give freedom of choice to people to live their retirements the way they want to. But then it allows me to talk to my friends, my coworkers, people I meet at conferences, and tell them, hey, I've got an idea about a company for you. If you talk to them, they're going to help you do what you need to do for your clients, and they're going to love you for it.
well, I love that you're all about the clients. Of course, when I meet someone like that, I think, wow, because there are a lot of people like that, but then there are maybe some people not so much like that. And so I love that you're looking out for your clients. I love that you're giving your clients options. And I love that you shared that story in terms of that client came back to you and said, you essentially you're helping people make their dreams come true.
One annuity at a time.
One annuity at a time. But I'd also love to hear from you a little bit of inspirational messaging for maybe newer agents, maybe women agents, maybe not, doesn't matter. But how would you give some advice? And what would you say, like, what's your secret sauce? What can individuals learn from you?
Okay, so the one thing is to take little chunks at a time. Don't let the massive amount of information that's out there overwhelm you. Think of it as a chapter book. The first chapter is just opening it up and realizing that you need to take the course to be able to do annuities correctly. And the second step is just trying to practice with illustrations. If you can get comfortable with those, talk to an FA if you can. It'll really help you get comfortable. The more comfortable you are, the more compliant you are, the more competent you will be. So it's just literally one step at a time, one breath at a time, and realizing that you won't make the mistakes if your heart's in the right place. As long as you make sure that the suitability's there and your heart's in the right place for you and the client, everything will work out in the long run. It's just a matter of taking that first step. Open up that book, because it's going to be the best chapter book you've ever read.
I love your analogy. That's really great. But I also loved what you said earlier, because I think you're talking about, practice makes perfect to some extent. And the more you do things, the more you learn, the more you're able to help people. And I just think that's truly inspiring. So Medicarians 2025, what have you found interesting or surprising here?
The surprising thing, which shouldn't be, is the amount of diversity in product knowledge, in the different classes that are offered, in the sheer willingness of people to network, to uplift others without having to say, oh, you have to be part of my company. No, we're all here to learn and grow, which is fantastic. Being able to just take this, what I have now, and add another chapter to my book, if we're going to stick with that analogy, and just,
right.
keep going with what we need to learn. So the diversity has been great. There's things about AI. There's a lot about the ACA. There's a lot about how you can take your meetings with your clients for Medicare and add in annuities, how to have those conversations and not be intimidated by them. Just the sheer fact that everybody is starting to wake up and see that it has to be a whole picture. You have to have the whole pie, not just a piece of it.
All set.
So one of my colleagues here just said, have a great time. And we're having a great time here at Medicarians 2025. It's our third year, it just keeps getting bigger and better. And it's just been amazing looking around and seeing all the individuals having really intent conversations and laughing too and having a good time. I'm here with one of my guests, Jeff Leston, and he's going to talk a little bit about himself. Jeff, tell us about yourself, your business, and why you're here today.
Well, I am here because if you've been paying attention on the news, the subject of fraud and government health programs has become front and center. I have been involved in that fight for close to 20 years, and then it goes back even further than that. And I think one thing that we want to be able to do is protect Medicare and Medicaid. And to my way of thinking, one of the best ways to do that is clear the junk out of the system. So what my company has done, we're in the prevention business. And basically what we did is we took the credit card networks and pointed them to healthcare. And we address what we think is one of the major enablers of fraud. Whenever a claim gets paid, no insurance company, public or private, has any idea if the doctor and the patient were in the same place at the same time. And for everybody who's got a credit card, you know that as soon as that credit card is read, the people that are processing that card know where you are in under 1 second. So we took that infrastructure, which is universal basically, and pointed it to healthcare. And basically what we create is an ID card that can look like any other ID card. It doesn't have any financial value, so it's not, at risk if the number is stolen. But basically it helps insurance companies, just like we like to say, we turn our customers into the bank. So they get the same power of anti-fraud services that every credit card company has. That's what we do, and now there's a lot more attention being paid on it because of the growth of these programs, and we're hoping and really visiting here at the Medicarians, we want to be able to protect beneficiaries' identities. What always makes me laugh is when I read about a healthcare breach, and we had half the country's identities breached in one shot last year. They offer credit monitoring. Well, that's great, but it doesn't protect anybody's health insurance number.
Right.
And not only are beneficiaries' IDs stolen, but doctors' identities are stolen too, to authorize opioids and durable medical equipment and physical therapy and all sorts of stuff like that. We know, and we've demonstrated to Medicare and to Congress how to stop that. So that's the reason I'm here, and I'm hoping that people who are here also have an interest in making sure the money's spent in the right place.
Oh, I'm sure they are, but I'm very interested to learn a little bit about, because you talked about being involved in this for many years. So
where did that come from?
Where did that come from? That's exactly,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, as you heard, I borrowed this from the financial industry. I worked in the financial industry in New York in technology and product development for a number of years, and I also did corporate development and banking. And I got approached by the company that did a artificial intelligence anti-fraud system for American Express. And I called a friend of mine who was chief of staff at Empire Blue Cross in New York, and I said, "Hey, Bill, is this a problem in healthcare?" And I could just about hear him fall off his chair, because he had written his master's thesis on healthcare fraud. And he got us, to the right people in Empire. And 30 years ago, we put in the first AI-based anti-fraud system in healthcare. So I started the company basically to take developments from the financial services industry and move them into healthcare. So I had experience with the payments industry and credit cards and all sorts of things like that. So I've always looked for opportunities to move financial industry technology into healthcare. And this was a perfect example. And the statistics are the fraud rate in the payment industry is 0.1%, and the fraud rate, depending upon whose numbers you read, in Medicare and Medicaid is 100 times as much. So, as they say, out of chaos lies opportunity. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, ready. Right. Oh, what a day. I can't believe it. I mean, I looked at my phone and it seems much later, not in a bad way. It's just there's so much going on here.
Right.
Activity, right?
Oh,
Laughter. Yeah. You can hear all the conversations, a buzz in the room. So I'm really excited to have Erin Davis with me today. And Erin, tell us a little bit about your company, what you do, and why people should care about what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Erin Davis. I'm a senior product manager at a company called Connextra DRX. Probably the best way that I describe it to folks who are not in Medicare is that of the 10 million seniors who become eligible for Medicare every year, Connextra will enroll about 2 million of them per year. So that means we work with FMOs all over the country. We work with carrier partners all over the country. We work with ancillary partners all over the country to make sure that seniors get the plan that they deserve, right? That they're working with the right agent for them and that they're in the right plan that best suits their needs. So this year has been really a phenomenal opportunity for us to continue to serve our customers in terms of shopping and enrollment, but also really dive deeper into data. We've launched a new platform this year called Active Analytics. And this is really our solution to make sure that agents have more transparency on how disruptions in Medicare affect their book, more transparency than they've ever had. So that's been a bit about my role, and Connextra's been good to me, and this event has always been good to me too. So it's really good to be here.
That's great. Let's talk a little bit more about the nuts and bolts of what your company does. And I think what your company does is amazing because there's such a need out there.
Mm-hmm.
And all of this stuff's confusing and things are changing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But talk a little bit about your platforms or, your analytics and how you're able to really help people.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, at its most basic, Connextra DRX is a shopping, quoting, and enrollment platform. So we are the antidote to paper applications, to the whole process of folks really needing to dive into spreadsheets and to use, an archaic process that should go the way of the fax machine. So we allow the technology for about 50,000 agents across the country. Actually, it's probably higher than that.
Wow.
I got to chat with my team about that. But thousands upon thousands of agents to be shopping for their members, be sending them quotes, be sending them the relevant information to ultimately enroll that member in the plan that best suits them. So that is kind of what we do in a nutshell. That's like the Thanksgiving dinner explanation. That's like what your aunt wants to know about. But for anyone in the know, anyone in the industry, even though the workflow is simple, right? Shop for plans, get them a quote of what they need, and enroll them. All of the data under the scenes, behind the scenes, is incredibly complex. And you mentioned it earlier, the amount of disruption, the amount of times that data changes, sometimes on an hour by hour or minute by minute basis. We're the stewards of all of that information. We work with 160 FMOs. We work with a similar amount of carriers across the country, both big and small, to take in as much data as possible to make sure that when someone sees the options in their area, that it is the most complete picture of what they get. But it's not just about plans. It's about all of the other aspects of a consumer's, really their life, that we need to take in as well. Their doctors, what hospital they go to, the pharmacy that's closest to their house, the drugs that they're taking, their eligibility information, all of the things about who that senior is, and need to incorporate that into the picture. So we've built tools that we both use on our hosted side and offer via API to make all of that data available and know that it is in context when a plan discussion is happening. We hang our hat on making sure that members are as confident and as educated on the decision that they're making as possible. And then our efforts, beyond with analytics, we've been stewards of a lot of this data for the better part of 25 years. We're now leveraging it in new and interesting ways, essentially saying, hey, if we have the information on how formularies have changed, on how premiums have changed, on how a plan that was in a certain zip code in Georgia now doesn't exist, all of that, we're starting to raise up what that looks like on a member by member basis. So an agent can go in and say, oh, shoot, I've got 50 members that are taking an expensive drug, and it's not going to be on their next year formulary. How great is the ability to deliver that to an agent versus a member finding that out when they go to the pharmacy to fill that script, right? So there's, I talk very passionately about it because there's a real need out there.
No, I can definitely sense that. And of course, I'm feeling the same way because that could be devastating for people, especially when you were talking about prescriptions. And again, not knowing and then, finding out like at the last minute. And that's such a big disruption.
Right.
And I mean, what I keep hearing throughout my conversations today, which is really very humbling, and also it just makes you feel good that everyone here is really trying to help people, connect to people. And again, we have our analytics, we have AI, we have all of those things, those platforms and tools. But at the end of the day, it's human to human. And you're helping, people live longer, live better. And, your health is everything. If you don't have your health, well,
absolutely.
what that's like, right?
Right.
So,
well, there's something to be said too. Obviously we're at a conference where technology is front and center, right? Because it's fun and sexy to talk about, of all the new tools, of all the new capabilities. But it really has to boil down to, how is the seniors day, week, month, year getting better? I always like to judge myself and my teams on how do we make a senior's life better, right? And that might not be a big change right away. It might not be a monumental, oh my gosh, I've done a complete 180 because of the technology that we've used, but we've maybe made something just that much faster, that much easier, that much less confusing. I think it's a metric that everyone here, it's less of a call to action. It's more of a celebration at an event like this, because that's a sense that you can really feel by being here, that no one really needs to be told that or given the mandate to go do that. I think we all fit in that bucket of, look, we've left our lives for a few days to say seniors need help. And it's not just seniors, people need help.
They do.
And we're just lucky to be among the group that can serve a good amount of them.
Yeah. And there are some people that don't have anyone to help them. And so, it's so critical. I mean, it's critical for everyone, but especially those that don't have anyone advocating for them and helping them.
Absolutely.
So as we kind of close our conversation, what have you found most interesting or intriguing or surprising here at Medicarians 2025?
Well, my favorite metric about this conference is the fact that there were 1,000 agents here last year, and there are 3,000 agents here this year.
Medicarians 2025, day 2. I'm here with an amazing guest. Her name is Courtney Vitas. Courtney, tell us a little bit about yourself, what your company does, who you are, and why you're here at Medicarians.
Yeah, absolutely. Mary, my name, like you said, is Courtney Vitas. I'm with National Contracting Center. I've been with National Contracting Center for 13 years. I've done a little bit of everything with them, but currently I am the head of their strategic partnerships. So I get to do all the fun stuff. Our bigger agencies and agents, and then the carriers, that's where all my relationship building skills lie. So I get to come out here and all the other conferences and handshake, and I think they say kiss babies. I don't really like kids. That's to the side, but overall I like old people, so that's why I'm here.
There you go. Yeah. Absolutely. Perfect space for that. So tell us a little bit about what your journey's been to do what you're doing, and tell us a little bit about what your secret sauce is with your company. It's like we all have a lot of competitors, so we want you to stand out.
We do, and we really do stand out as a company once you get to know us. So every FMO is going to offer pretty much the same set of tools, the same basic value prop. We're pretty much level set in what we can offer contract-wise. But what makes the National Contracting Center different is our investment in the agent and the agency. So we really take the time to get to know them on a personal and a business level, because what works for you in your agency might not work for me in my agency. So I want to understand the person, the agency, what's working for them and what's not, and really dig into what's working and just add fuel to that fire so that they can really build on their skills, grow some organic leads, and then that business is truly theirs. So that's the way we like to focus.
I love that because you're meeting your customers where they are and you're trying to always improve by listening to them and customizing whatever you can that's possible to customize.
Absolutely, because leads aren't leads. Everybody works a little bit of a different way in a much different manner. We don't want to put people in the same box. Not everybody lives that way. And we have found huge success in that. So it's working out really well for us.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about, so this is day 2. Any expectations as we finish today? And what have you found to be most interesting, amazing, or surprising?
You know what? It's been surprising the amount of people that just will stop by and have a conversation. Some of these other conferences and stuff, you have to be the one that goes out and initiates the conversation. But everybody who has come here is very vested in their business and their success. So having that level of professionalism here has just been crazy entertaining. I mean, it led to a ton of great conversations. And I would say every vendor here is probably walking away with some pretty solid leads.
No, that's what I've heard from a lot of different individuals. I've heard human connectiveness, and I think grace and the willingness to share. I believe and feel that everyone here has that same mindset. Like, let's grow together.
Yeah.
And if I can't help you, let me refer you to someone that I know that can. And I really love that. And I agree with you because I've seen so many people laughing and conversating. And again, you don't always feel like you have to go out. People are coming to you and just also saying like, how are you doing today? Like,
It's crazy friendly here.
Yeah.
And I'm Northern, so I'm not always used to that,
Same here. I could totally relate to that. Absolutely. So any last thoughts as we conclude our conversation, Courtney?
I think for anybody who's in this business, an agent or an agency owner, partnerships are far beyond just what you would organically think, like an FMO or a carrier. The lead vendors, the tech companies and everything like that, really building your business in a very robust manner is going to be crazy sustainable. So pick up different types of products, expand your view, and work with people who are willing to help you.
I love that. Well, listen, have a great rest of your day, and thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Miss Mary. Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks.
Day 2 Medicarians 2025, and still a lot of people here, mulling around and having conversations and smiling and laughing and, coming back with some amazing contacts. And I had the pleasure of meeting Camille Anderson. Camille, tell us a little bit about your business yourself and what brings you to Medicarians.
Sure. So I work for a financial firm. We previously were just made up of financial advisors. Well, then we got into the business of, doing a full retirement package for our clients of our personal wealth. We also do a lot of like colleges and universities, 401ks, that kind of thing. So they hired me in to kind of come in and be like a liaison for all of our retirees going into the wonderful world of Medicare and everything. So, I guess that's kind of where I work and what I do.
So we had a very interesting conversation before we started recording, and I would love for you to kind of highlight that and share that with our audience, because I believe there are other agents out there that probably feel the very same way you do when you're thinking about retirement products in general. Again, we're not going to talk details, but I would love for you to share a little bit about that.
So what we were talking about earlier was I have the privilege of being a salaried employee and also making commission. So therefore, I feel like I can look at my client's best interest as opposed to trying to make money for Camille. So I go onto a lot of different quoting tools and things like that. And I had recently came across Nassau and I was like, wow, your rates are always very competitive. I'm in Ohio, so in many different counties. So you guys are usually popping up. And I was like, I really hope they're at the Medicarian conference so I can get a little bit more information. And then here we are.
And then here we are. It's been a great conversation. We've talked. I've shared with you why I love working at Nassau, because people really, they treat it like it's their own company and they go beyond the call of duty. And when you can talk to people when you call us, and we'll stop what we're doing and we'll get you an answer if we don't know it, or we'll really try hard to make sure that everything that you've put forward is correct. Because again, that's why we continue to grow. What would you say so far that you have found interesting, intriguing, or surprising at Medicarians 2025?
So I was kind of anticipating it, but all of the AI focused initiatives in every part of our agencies, but also just in the world of Medicare, life insurance, all of that kind of stuff. There's so much to look forward to. It is a little scary at first, but if you kind of open your mind up, I think it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
It really is.
I mean, I totally agree with you. And I think a good way to frame it is like human in the loop. So again, we're relying on AI to help us do our work more efficiently. And so understanding how to use the tools that are out there appropriately, but also still keeping an eye on the details, I think is always a great way to approach it. Roll. Medicarians 2025, day 2. Wow, amazing. Very cool people. Just ran into this one individual that I'm going to be talking with right now, Eric Ria. Eric, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, why you're here.
Sure. So we love to be involved with the ongoing changes in the industry. We are a FMO out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. It's called Agent Equity Group. And in January, we launched a podcast called Agents Confidential. Promoting that today, I love networking and meeting people in general. So I was talking to another gentleman. We were comparing our health issues. I had a heart attack in January. He had a retina thing, and then I had a retina thing a couple of years ago. And he's a golfer. We exchanged information. Who knows, right? We may play golf, be friends, or work together. That's why I think, honestly, I've talked with agents. We invited, I think we had about 40 of our agents that work with us come and attend the event this year. 2 years ago, we came and it wasn't very agent focused. And I think they've done an amazing job in changing that. We threw a pool party on Friday. On Monday, as a welcome to Vegas for people. Not a lot of people can be at an event like this all day. So we gave them an excuse to enjoy a little bit of sun, although now it's cold. Sorry, I like to talk a lot.
Okay. No, that's okay. Well, for a couple things. First of all, congratulations on launching a podcast. That's really great. I think it's a very interesting and creative way to have conversations with people that are meaningful. I'm sure your audience that hears you, they can a lot of times see themselves pondering such challenges or opportunities, and they feel like, okay, I'm not alone in this. So I love that part. And the other thing I wanted to say is, well, you look great. I'm sorry you had a heart attack, but you look fabulous. So keep doing what you're doing. So tell us a little bit about what led you to create the podcast, and how's it going, and what have you learned?
So I was voluntold that I was going to be a co-host on our podcast. I jokingly said I have a face for radio and a voice for Braille. I was terrified every time. Even wearing the headphones right now, I can kind of hear myself back, and I've been told no one likes the sound of their own voice, so I just need to get over it.
That's very true.
But anytime we've had video, family, home video kind of thing, I'm like, really, that's what I sound like? Great. So I was really nervous about that. But what we have found is we all consume knowledge and remember different things in different ways. There is not one way to learn something. retain it, share it, what have you. I really look at it as an additional vehicle to spread the message of what we're trying to do is help agents be better at their craft. I think that takes care of a lot of problems. It takes care of CMS complaints. If agents are doing what they should be with their customers, they're not going to complain, right? So we're trying to keep them compliant, keep them up to date. What every other booth in this show is almost AI something, right? So if you're not embracing those changes, I feel like you're getting left behind. One thing I wanted to say before I forget, because I do have a lot of thoughts, is probably one of the most passionate things and important things that we talk with agents about is succession planning. Looking around this room, I don't believe this stat, but I believe is true, that about 60 to 70% of insurance agents are 55 and older. I have seen a lot of young people, which obviously I know I'm getting older, but I've seen it and I love it. I absolutely love the energy, the enthusiasm. I feel like they work faster because they're using technology. And I know some would say, well, maybe you're not getting as deep with these people because you're working so fast and with so many. But I think Jeff Bezos, I'll quote, when their mission statement or company culture is they believe that now and forever people are going to want products for low prices and fast shipping. So he's like, if we can do those things, we know that everything else is going to kind of take care of itself, or that we're on that right track. I don't know if that all made sense or not, but
It does. And I do believe that, look, we're not going to be able to turn back time in terms of not having AI in front of us. And I know I'm also not a digital native, but technology, when it works, and it does most of the time, really can be our best friend.
Yeah.
And I also want to touch upon a point that you made about seeing a lot of the younger generation at Medicarians 2025. This is our third year, and I would and say to you, even in that short time, I've noticed a lot more younger professionals here, which is very heartwarming.
right.
Because absolutely, in many industries, we're all getting older, so we need to bring new blood, if you will, into the mix. And I think multi-generational, you can learn from one another.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, I love to learn from younger people, and I hope they learn a little from me. But I also want to get back to another point. You talked about people learn differently. My husband's a 7th grade science teacher.
Oh, bless his heart.
Yeah, I know. And this is not his first career, but he is a very technologically advanced teacher. He teaches science. It's a very active classroom, but he's always talking about multiple intelligence. And it's really the point that you made earlier. So I do think we have to have platforms and mechanisms for all the ways all of us learn. And, as a marketing individual, right, we meet people where they are.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you touched upon something very poignant.
Oh, well, thank you. I have a pointed head sometimes. No, I'm just kidding. One thing I wanted to go back, and I appreciate you affirming me on that, because it's I think it ties in with the succession plan that I wanted to go a little bit deeper on. If the average is that, agents are older, 55 plus, that we see kind of maybe a cliff or a disruption point of, if they haven't set up planning to transfer that book of business to somebody. We've had 4 agents in the last 2 years, and we're preaching it all the time, and they haven't taken the time, and it's an absolute nightmare to, stop payroll or make sure your commissions are coming in, and companies will turn you off. Oh, they passed away, there was nothing in place, it's done. And that business can literally evaporate. So I call it income protection. You can set up a buy sell with somebody. You really don't even need a lawyer. It helps it make it feel a little bit more official. But to set that up with a colleague maybe just somebody that you hang out with when you meet up at Medicarians. You're not competitors, but you want the best for each other if something were to happen. The other cool thing about that is it's the magic eject button from the industry. If you have a buy sell set up in advance, and we typically ask for like a 6-month runway, you can't quit tomorrow, but you can quit in 6 months. And we can use that runway to kind of merge our two businesses together. It's better for the clients, it's better for the agents, all the way around. And it literally costs nothing to ensure that income, that business that you've worked so darn hard to build does not just evaporate or go to somebody that you want it to.
Yeah, I think you make a really good point, that it's funny because individuals, agents, insurance agents that are helping people planning for retirement and planning, sometimes they forget about their own planning in terms of things like that. And I think, that's probably a little more common than we think, but I think lifting that topic up is very important. And I haven't really discussed it with anyone yet. So
I know.
I'm glad you brought that up. And I think it's good to keep beating that drum and discussing it. And also it gives, when one door closes, another one opens. So you're opening up a window or a door for, again, the next generation. And how great is that? But before we close our conversation, I'm just curious, what have you found most thought-provoking or surprising or just interesting since you've been attending Medicarians 2025?
Ooh, I might have to think about that one for a second. I did have a funny soundbite off of your last statement. I was going to say, I know a lot of landscapers that have terrible yards at their house. They help everyone else make it fantastic. And they're like, I have no energy to work on my own. Be very similar with, I'm sure, a chef. Last thing they may want to do when they come home is cook.
Absolutely. Absolutely spot on.
Yeah. So that's really good insight. I would like this to be like, have a lot of pop and punch and influence and be usable in your chopping of these recordings. It's okay. I got one. So I would say, not surprised, but the most impactful thing is people connecting with one another. We had touched on it a little bit earlier of, younger people coming into this. And I almost feel like it's just nice to see them in person, because I know I have teenage boys and they are texting. They will not call people. They don't FaceTime. It's literally all text, Snapchats, and different things like that. So just coming together. And I live in Michigan. Michigan's kind of like your right hand, thumb on the right. So in working the whole state, I've found that in the fingers, in your not your thumb, but thumb probably too, but in those fingers, you have to put skin to skin with those people before they will communicate with you. So I call that a handshake. I would go door to door to my prospects. I was in a different industry, and just stop by, introduce myself, drop off a card, and I say, they're like, that's it? I say, yeah, because when I call you, I want you to know who I am, and hopefully you'll take my call or read my email or find value in what I do. And I think a lot of times when we're connecting with people, we are a little bit eager to sell than to listen and to understand what that person may be looking for. And then maybe giving them some space, and then coming back and saying, it was so nice talking with you the other day. I just wanted to make sure that I was offering you the opportunity for me to help you, right? Or whatever your pitch is, because I talk to so many agents that they're advisors, counselors, Sherpas, puzzle masters, right? Of solving the Medicare puzzle or their health insurance puzzle. So back to your question, and I hope you got some usable content in this conversation. And thank you so much for having us, or having me on here.
Oh, it's been great. And I'll just kind of follow up by saying that I always tell people, this is my perspective, someone has to know you, like you, and trust you in that order. And you hope to shorten that runway without being too aggressive with them, if you will. But I do agree with you wholeheartedly. And I have 2 grown adults, and they don't like to get on the phone, believe it or not. They still like to text. And I think, again, it's about meeting people where they are. And while those of us that maybe like to still pick the phone up or do FaceTime or whatever, it's like we know that we have to communicate to our clients or potential clients the way they find it to be most valuable.
I have a perfect example. A gentleman I was just hanging out with, and we went to dinner last night. He's a texter, and contracting would try to send him an email, and they're like, he's not responding. I was like, you just got to text him that you emailed him. She's like, really? I said, it's going to work. Is it that hard just to do that little extra step to meet him where, it'd be like, we're networking stuff and say like, oh, follow me on Instagram. And it's like, if that's all you're offering, that's why I would lead with when I approach your booth or approach people about the podcast is say, do you listen to podcasts?
Yeah.
People that say no, I'm still going to give them a card, but I know that they're probably not going to listen. And the people that do say, oh yeah, then I can ask them, well, what do you listen to? What do what do you gain from it? Do you do podcasts yourself? And the conversation gets really deep because they're, you're finding out what they're all about. That's why I always ask people if they're golfers. Yana, if you're listening, drink. My co-host on our Agents Confidential podcast made a drinking game where every time I say golf, you have to drink. And it gets a little sloppy, but we have good, clean fun, and we just really, really like helping people. And I am blown away and really appreciate you taking the time to do this. Gave me some good insights on how we need to grow and adapt. Headphones are huge in a noisy area. I can hear myself. I can hear you.
Yeah.
And I find it as a great medium for people to take it in.
Yes.
Do you do podcasts?
I do, yes.
Do you do video?
We use both.
Okay.
Yeah. And go ahead.
Because I mean, if you're doing video, people don't have to watch it, but if they want to watch something, they can. So like the treadmill, walking the dog, doing house chores, anytime, anywhere to be able to, I'm ready to take in some information,
Yes.
which, is kind of interesting. We talk about being in person. I think so many of our NABIP events and HAFA events and all those things are like, say, younger generations are not used to having to go to a place. I mean, we used to have to go somewhere to get the info, or we missed out. You didn't show up, you missed out. And that's why some of those organizations grew. And I feel like they're struggling a little bit to prove their value. Because at face value, people will be like, I'll Google it or ask ChatGPT and I'll get it faster than driving across state to a meeting.
Yeah, I know. I think you make some really valid points, and I'll just say, and there's no replacement for seeing someone in person once in a while, handshake or hug, whatever your style is. There's something about it. However, I think because we're all so busy, it is nice. I do a lot of philanthropic work in the community.
Thank you for that.
I love it. I admit, though, we do have board meetings, for example, on Zoom, and it's easier for me to jump on a board meeting or a subcommittee meeting. So I do love that. However, I think coming to Medicarians 2025, you can see that it's just nice to see people, to chat with them, maybe to have a drink with them or dinner, share a meal or whatever. So I think it's balancing the two. And again, it goes back to know, like, and trust. And sometimes you just need to see someone in person.
I love the know, like, and trust. And I think of some of the national carriers that we work with, like this would be the only time I probably see them throughout the year. And as humans, we recognize faces probably more than voices or emails kind of thing, where you can, I like the analogy of spinning the plates, just a little touch, a little in person. Hey, how are you? How are the kids? Blah, blah, blah. Remember that time 2 years ago? Still can't believe you got away with that. And, those little stories that And that's the other thing I would plug for coming to events like this is when agents ask us, what am I going to get out of it? Why would I go? As our best answer is always, it's the intangibles that you can't plan for. You might meet your spouse on this trip and in this industry or not. You may meet a business partner or somebody tells you a little story by listening to a podcast that changes the trajectory of your business and maybe your life. Like I talk to my kids about this a lot. I'm like, just go to the party, go to the hangout, go to the awards banquet you don't care about. Something might happen. It's certainly not going to happen sitting in your room playing a video game.
No, that's absolutely right. And I love that we're closing that way. And I use the term, which sounds odd, but serendipity. And I found in my life, and I'm also a former entrepreneur, so I've done a lot of different things, is I like to show up to events because I never know what's going to really happen. Who I'm going to meet, to your point, could change the trajectory of a business decision or my life, or I might meet a lifelong friend. So I do believe in that power. So I'm glad you brought that up. And thank you for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is a lot of fun.
Thank you. I guess we're midpoint, day 2. Medicare is 2025. And again, people are still conversating, laughing. It's very busy. I can't believe how busy it still is. And I'm having a great time. I'm meeting great people. I'm here with an amazing gentleman, Andrew Hennessy. He's going to talk a little bit about what he does, his company, and why he's here today. Andrew, take it away.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. So we at High Peak, we built a product that provides personalized predictions of longevity and the annual healthcare and long-term care costs over that predicted lifespan. We offer this to insurance agents and financial advisors, and then they in turn use it for their end clients, really to help shape those conversations of, for each unique client, what are their predicted risks later in life, and what types of products can the agent or financial advisor offer them to help reduce those risks and protect them and their families.
I love that. And when I saw what you did, I made a beeline over to your booth. And when you shared with me very quickly, I said, I love this. I have to hear more. Do you talk about health span versus lifespan, or kind of like what? Talk a little bit more about that, because it's very intriguing. I think it's perfect timing. I know one of our podcasts that we do at NASA, we focus on longevity. And for all the reasons I think all of us are here today, or have been for the last few days. So could you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I hear that a lot. It's always, it's living well and aging well, not just certainly people are interested in what's the predicted number, what's the age, but also what's it gonna be like as I age. And so our data scientists are fantastic, and that was certainly a question they took to heart. And it's when they there's 3 models that underpin our product. One is the lifespan, but the other 2 are more interesting to this question of what's the healthcare outcomes and what's the long-term care outcomes. And for long-term care, it's not only what's the propensity or likelihood of needing it, but at what age will they need it, and what's the duration. So it's not just, again, a single number, but to your question of like, what will it look like as I age, is when will I start to need long-term care, and what will that look like as it ramps up, and how long will that last? And then you can have conversations of, can I do that at home with children for a while? Do I need to go to, do I need to envision going to a full care facility? How much will that cost? So it's not just, again, a single number. It should be enough context to have those meaningful conversations with your advisor, with your family.
Oh, I love that. So again, this is a little bit of a loaded question, and I'm not expecting that you give me the answer, but look, technology, there are a lot of advances in biotech and the medical industry. Are your data scientists finding that that's changed a little bit or revised the trajectory for which individuals perhaps are living longer?
So, sorry, would you repeat the first half of that one more time?
Yeah, just, we have technology out there, biotech, and just all the advances, right, with stem cells. I'm making this up. This is just an example of, elongating people's lives. Now, granted, we all need to try to take care of ourselves, and yet we don't know what's down the pike. We can predict to some extent, no pun intended. So have your data scientists seen any sort of change in an upward cycle of people living longer, or how has that been in the mix for the discussions that you've had
Certainly.
with them?
So that doesn't.
It's a long-winded question. Sorry.
I love the
Andrew.
question, and we do get to have those fun conversations amongst the team.
Yeah.
And it's always fun to learn from the data scientists. It doesn't show up in the product. The product is more meant for like an individual.
Right.
But yes, when you get to zoom out and look at populations
I
and
love
see
that.
how things change based on geography
Right.
or proximity to healthcare facilities, or other types of questions, even as you're saying, access to technology or based on income levels, which also then might be an indicator for how much access they have to those types of new treatments, medications, preventative health, etc.
Exactly.
All those are really fascinating indicators that they try to bake into this predictive model.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would love to have a week-long conversation on the zoomed out version of what they see in population trends. I'm probably not technical
Well,
enough.
that's okay. I would love, and maybe that's a conversation for another time, for a full episode that we can do with them and really dig in a little deeper. So we'll connect after
Sure.
you and I have this conversation
Same
today.
topic, absolutely.
It absolutely is. And there's so many factors, certainly. So what have you found, though, that differentiates your company perhaps with others so people can really get a sense of
Sure.
what you do?
So I think the status quo is agents or advisors suggesting everyone lives to about 95. Everyone spends about $250K in medical costs over their lifetime. And that's pretty good for most people. But I think clients are saying, I don't want you to just take my money and stick it in a standard ETF. Or I don't want just the standard insurance policy that you give to everybody. Like, can we talk about my family history? We talk about my personal health journey. And can we fit a plan in a product that is unique to me and my needs? So what we've done is build a model that really takes into account each individual's healthcare and health history, and it provides the information for them to say, what products do I need to protect myself and my family? So maybe the status quo is good enough for some people, but I think people are starting to expect more. Just across everything in life. What shows are you going to suggest that I watch based on other things I've watched?
Spot on.
Music, what car, how do I drive? It's everywhere. So it should certainly be in your financial and insurance planning as well.
Yeah, I do. I think people in general have become to expect more. They want to, buy what they want, when they want it, how they want it. So we all know that, right? Because I think we're all consumers. So I love that, and I appreciate your answer. What have you found to be most helpful, interesting, impactful at Medicarians 2025?
Certainly. So this is a little bit new for me personally, but also for High Peak. We originally were focusing on financial advisors for this product. And what we found is that it really stuck or hit home when the financial advisor was also selling life insurance or annuities or long-term care insurance. They understood very quickly the value of this information and how it supports their clients. So this is a new arena for us to go just directly to insurance agents and help them support those conversations of what's the right product for my client and how do I support that conversation with data. For me, it's been a lot of learning. I come from the financial advising background, so I understand that world. Here, just learning about how individual agencies operate, what their day-to-day life is like, what problems they're trying to overcome, how they're trying to stand out in a noisy environment, how they're trying to really provide that unique service to their clients that they love and care for in their community. It's been interesting to hear more of the anecdotal stories and understanding them in their business. Each one of them is an entrepreneur in their own way and building, and really appreciating their stories and then trying to build that into problems we're solving with the product.
Yeah, I think that's well said, because definitely we've heard that the numbers have more than quadrupled in terms of the number of agents that have attended, not just today, but yesterday. So I totally agree with that. And I think what's interesting, it's almost like many individuals like yourself, and I would even include us in that, we're here for a little bit of market research. Like we want to meet people, we want to help people, we want to be around like-minded people. We want to share our knowledge, lift each other up, but we also want to do a little bit of market research and find out the who, what, when, where, and why, and maybe hear some things that we weren't aware of.
Absolutely.
And I think that's how we can all become better at whatever we're doing. So I do think this has been invaluable, and I look forward to speaking with you again, Andrew, and thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having us so much.
Remember to subscribe to the Prime Life Podcast anywhere you find podcasts. You can find all of our episodes, contact information, and more on our website, primelifepodcast.com. Stay connected with us. Follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.